Welcome to Yin. We will work through a sequence today that it's really quite juicy. This practice, it's indicative of my self-practice. So these are some movement patterns that it weaves together functional movement and Yin. I find that it's just an incredible perspective to explore the body, to explore the self. So we're going to move in some shapes that might not be familiar, they might not be traditional, but the foundational premise of Yin remains. So our goal is to be as soft as we possibly could. We are grace personified. And last bit, we will need some props today. I recommend a healthy stack of pillows. We're gonna end the class with a supported heart opener. So I grabbed 2 pillows from my bed, grab some blankets. It's quite hot where I am here in Egypt, but if you wanna grab some layers, some socks, do take the time to make sure that your space is cozy. And we're gonna start class today in a seat. Any comfortable seated position will do. Allow the sit bones to ground, the spine to lengthen. Close the eyes, and with that simple physical action, we begin to shift our focus inwards. And with that shift, we commit to what can't be seen. The intelligence of the breath, the wisdom of the body, and our capacity to simply listen to our body's speech. Beginning to notice the way the breath moves in, how the breath moves out. And how the breath moves the body. It's this constant dance. We'll start class today with some gentle movement, just awakening the body, moving what is stagnant before we settle into our more traditional poses of stillness that Yin asks. We're going to come into a wide-kneed child's pose. We're going to bring our toes to curl underneath us. We won't be here for too long. And then just melt the chest downwards towards the floor or maybe towards a prop. Forehead can rest heavy on the earth. We're inviting a bit of intensity into the shape. And the challenge is, can you be to ease with an effort? Keep shifting your hips back, extending the arms forward. Follow your next exhale all the way out. And then make your way into a tabletop position. Keep the eyes closed as you begin to move in any way the body wants to move. So you create these movements from the inside out. Meaning, it's not an analytical process. You can't do anything right, you can't do anything wrong. You're moving purely to feel. And simply to listen as the body speaks. Eventually find some stillness. We'll work into the wrists a little bit. Bring your fingertips towards the outer edges of the mat. Your wrist creases shine inwards towards one another. Your shoulders can stack relatively above the wrists. And then just begin to sway your body weight a little bit from side to side. So movements, they can be really slow, they can be a little bit quicker, but they're conscious movements. You're noticing how the body weight transfers from the wrist to the fingertips, and you commit to meeting discomfort with breath. You can keep doing as you are. You might begin to add some variance to the movement. You can draw some half circles with the shoulders around the wrists. Eventually finding stillness. Bring your fingertips forward. Walk your palms 1 hand distance forward. Curl your toes behind you. Glide the hips up and back, downward facing dog. No alignment cues here. Just explore the shape. Feel the body. Notice the breath. And welcome what's here. Slowly walk your hands towards your feet, coming into a forward fold. I like my feet hip distance apart. You can walk your feet out a little bit wider if you like. This is a shape that's more about spinal release. So bend your legs a lot, so much so that the chest, the head just falls heavy. And then once here, interlace your hands behind your head. You can apply some gentle pressure of the elbows, the inner arms towards the cheeks. Just letting breath and gravity really do the work for you here. Maybe you add some gentle movement into the shape, last few rounds of breath. You can shake the head a little bit, nod the head. And then relax your hands down towards the ground. Keep a really generous bend in the legs. As you inhale, vertebra by vertebra, rise all the way up to a standing position. And then once there, you can take some circle rolls, or rather some shoulder rolls. That makes more sense. No science to it, just move in a way that feels like it's led by curiosity. Okay, so now we'll move through some shoulder articulations. This isn't very glamorous, but undoubtedly it is the best thing that I do in my daily life for the health of the shoulders. You'll extend your right arm forward, and then reach your right fingertips forward. So you're protracting the shoulder as if someone is pulling your arm out in front of you. Good. Draw the navel up and in. There's a slight engagement of the core. And then slowly begin to extend your fingertips up towards the ceiling. And as you do so, shrug the shoulder up by the ear. Feel the stretch in the right side of the body. And then you can flip your palm away from you. Slowly begin to extend your right fingertips towards the back of your space. And slowly lower the right arm down by the side. As you do so, really soften the right shoulder down towards the ground. And then keep moving just like that, as deliberately as you possibly could. Bringing your palm to face to the opposite direction once you're at the top. That shoulder decompression at the bottom. So you might feel some snaps, some crackles, some pops. Snaps maybe was a bit dramatic, but okay. You might begin to move in the opposite direction now. If you do feel those clicks, know that's normal. It is, however, indicative that you should do this quite a bit more. Finish whatever rotation you're on, and then we'll move to the opposite side. Extend your left arm forward, and then find that shoulder protraction. Extend your left fingertips farther forward. as if someone was pulling on that left hand. And then extend your left fingertips up. There's still that slight engagement of the core. Shrug the shoulder by the ear. Flip the palm away. Begin to extend your left fingertips back. And then soften your fingertips down to the earth as you decompress the shoulder away from the left ear. Keep moving just like that. So it's simple, but it's powerful. How much awareness can you invite into this really simple movement? Move in the opposite direction. And slowly you'll release. Relax your arms by your sides. Just close the eyes. Feel the space that's been created within the body. And then as you're ready, we'll make our way towards our more yin shapes. We'll come into Tadpole Pose. So we'll soften down to the ground once again, opening the knees wide enough so that the torso can fall heavy between the thighs. And you're empowered to soften the practice at any given moment. You're empowered to intensify the practice at any given moment. You can use the props as a means to facilitate that dancing with the edge. So you might choose to lower the torso all the way down to the ground. You might choose to bring a pillow underneath the chest. You might choose to bring a pillow between the ankles and the hips. We have an invitation to incorporate the upper body as well. If you'd like to work into this variation with me, you'll extend your elbow tips as far forward as you can, really. Melting the chest, the forehead down towards the ground. And then once there, you can extend your fingertips, so you bring your palms together. And then you can bring your fingertips towards the nape of the neck. So I won't talk too much in this first hold, but I'll remind you of the main principles of yin, the physical practice of surrender. You're here to observe. You're here to welcome what already is. You're here to soften. Stay with the breath. If you're in this tricep variation with me, you can extend your arms forward. And just let the breath move within the back body. We'll release the shape incredibly slowly. Begin to walk your palms back inwards towards your core, towards your center, lifting the torso, rising up. Moving slow enough so that you can feel the resonance of the previous movement. And then from here, we'll make our way onto our bellies. We're coming into Sphinx Pose. So for Sphinx Pose, we're looking to restore the curve in the low back. Oftentimes, because we sit in chairs, we sit at a computer, we all have a tendency to round forward. And so, anywho, this shape, it is a counteraction for that to restore the health of the spine. So bring your forearms into the number 11. Your elbows are underneath the shoulders, your arms extend from the elbows. You should feel some degree of sensation in the low back, but it's not pain. There's a huge difference between pain and sensation. You might choose to extend your elbow tips forward any amount that will decrease sensation, but if you do so, check that your elbows are still in line with your shoulders. Good. And then there's this slight energetic action of drawing your elbows towards the back of your space so that you can feel a lifting through the heart space. For our first minute or so in the shape, we'll add some gentle movement. So keep pressing through the forearms gently as you soften your chin down towards your chest. And then slowly, right ear towards the right shoulder, to the center, and left ear to left shoulder. Keep moving just like that, your pace. Knowing there's no right or wrong. How do you really want to move? Next time you're coming through center, you'll pause there and then lift the gaze forward once again. Good. And then begin to gaze over the right shoulder and then gently nod your head up and down with curiosity to see what's here. Find some stillness, come back through neutral, gaze forward, and then look over the left shoulder. And then once again, nod the head up and down. Come through neutral. Just take a few rounds of breath here. Is there one last way that you could soften? We slowly release crocodile pose, open the elbows wide, stack your hands on top of one another, forehead to the hands. Just take a few rounds of breath and notice how you breathe. If it feels right, you can rock your hips a little bit from side to side. Move deliberately. We're moving towards, undoubtedly, my favorite shoulder opener. Just to build the shape, we will come back up into Sphinx Pose. Extend your left fingertips forward, so your arm extends, and then thread might be the better word, thread your right palm through the left hand and the left shoulder. And then extend your left fingertips over to the right. So we're making like an X with the arms. And then you can allow the forehead to fall heavy. So you might find that your forehead is towards your arms. You might find that it's perhaps hanging in space. It might be all the way down towards the ground. We're looking for some degree of opening in the upper back. And then, as always, curiosity, it's encouraged. So you can play with this sensation. If you curl your toes behind you and then shift your body weight slightly forward and maybe slightly back, you should be able to land in a sweet spot. It's not easy. It's intended to be uncomfortable. And we practice what it's like to breathe in what is uncomfortable. We practice how to soften within what already is. And it's an embodied practice, so we use the breath to continually become aware of the body. Notice what's happening inwards. And we let our fascination with our inner world intensify with every breath we take. Last 5 cycles of breath. See if you can be with them fully. The most valuable thing you can do in any given moment is to be there completely. And very slowly, we'll begin to release the shape. Half frog pose will be our release. So you slowly draw the navel towards the back body. There's a slight engagement. And then just slowly begin to bring your arms back inwards towards the midline. We'll open up our left knee, about a 90-degree angle to the left. Bring your left arm in a goalpost position. Bring your right ear, your right cheek down to the ground, and relax your right arm by the right side of the body. So this should feel relatively restorative. See if you can tune into what is subtle. Treating every breath as an invitation to take a full body scan. From the tips of the toes to the heart space, to the tips of the fingers, to the crown of the head. Let every inhale be a way to invite space into the body where there currently isn't. And with every exhale you take, you commit to that process by softening into the space the inhale creates. Trusting the pace of the body, the wisdom of the breath, more so than the analytics of the mind, just for now. You might be able to hear the call of prayer outside. I'm currently in Dahab, Egypt. letting every breath bring you deeper within. Last full cycle of breath. And slowly we'll begin to release the shape. First, just bring your left leg back towards the back of your space. Bring the neck back to neutral as you extend your left arm out in front of you. And then you'll thread your right arm under, rolling all the way onto your back. If I lost you on that transition, it's all good. We're making our way towards Pentacle Pose, a mini Shavasana. The breath, it invites you to stay in this moment between. Let's take a clearing breath all together. Take in a full inhale. Exhale, big sigh, let it go. 2 more times just like that. Full inhale. Full exhale. Last time. And then when you're ready, you can bring the soles of the feet down to the ground. Roll off onto one side of the body, whatever side of the body is calling to you. Again, notice the space between. The value of a moment, it's found through the amount of awareness we can bring into it. So this shape is, in fact, as valuable as any other. And then slowly, you'll rise all the way up to a actually scratch that. Let's make our way onto the belly. Not the most graceful of transitions, but so it is. All right, we'll come into that same 2 shapes on the opposite side. Though it's the same shapes, let yourself have an entirely different experience. We're not symmetrical. This side of the body, it has entirely new narratives, new stories to tell. Extend your right fingertips forward. And then thread your left arm through. You'll bring your left palm to face down. Wiggling the left fingertips any amount towards the right. And then you cross your right arm in front of that. So now you're making that X shape with the arms. The forehead rests down towards the ground. Or you could also slide a pillow underneath. check in. Make sure you're really a place you want to stay in. You can curl your toes behind you, shift your body weight forwards and back. For me, when I shift my body weight forward, I feel more sensation in the front of my shoulders, more into my biceps, even all the way down to my forearms. But your experience, it won't mirror mine, nor should it. So find what you need. I might not always instruct the exact thing that your body needs, but I assure you that your body's wisdom is, in fact, a better teacher than me. It always will be. But then we need to use some discernment. Oftentimes we categorize what is uncomfortable as places we shouldn't be, or places we shouldn't stay, or places we shouldn't want to sit next to in relation to our inner experience. Yeah, and it invites us to stay within whatever this moment is. And oftentimes that invitation will try to be revoked by the mind. As best as you can, stay with the breath, stay with the body. Last few cycles of breath. We find that slight engagement of the core, of the glutes, just to stabilize this release in the upper body as we slowly bring your elbows back towards their sides of the mat. This time around, we'll slide our right knee out to a 90-degree angle, lowering our left ear, our left cheek down towards the ground, left bicep by the left ear. Or rather, the left arm relaxed by the side, right arm out to a cactus position. So that said, there really isn't an exact science to what our individual practice should look like. So do make your own adaptations. Add variance within the practice. All the physical shapes we create, they're just different perspectives, they're different lenses to learn from. And just like off the mat, the more perspectives, the more curiosity we can invite into whatever the moment happens to be, the more we learn in the process. You have about a minute and a half more within the shape. Let the breath speak louder than anything else. Where is your energy? It's not a tool for judgment. That's a tool to listen, to learn. And we'll slowly begin to release. First, just bring the right knee back towards the back of the space. And then for now, bring your elbows wide, stack your hands on top of one another, forehead to the hands. Let the breath fill the back body. Just take a few rounds of breath and do some body scans from the tips of the toes all the way up through the crown of the head. Noticing what's here. And then as you're ready, we'll slowly rise all the way up, back towards a seat. Alright, so our next shape is, on a personal level, my most challenging teacher in physicality. We're working towards frog pose, working within frog pose, I should say. Yeah, in my physical body, it is the exact area within my body where I hold the most amount of tension. It's the inner line of the legs, the psoas. So anyway, let's go on a journey together. If tadpole pose, that is knees wide, big toes to touch, would better serve you, know that's where we will all start, that's where we'll end. You might choose to stay the whole time. It can be helpful to have pillows or blankets nearby to slide underneath the knees. Yeah, we'll be here for about 2 minutes or so. If you're moving towards frog pose, you'll shift your body weight forward towards your palms, and then bring your ankles to extend outwards from the knees. We'll flex our feet quite strongly. That's an important action. So we flex the feet. Knees are wide enough so you meet some degree of resistance here. And then our goal is to pay attention. But our secondary goal in physicality is to keep shifting your body weight backwards towards your hips, towards your heels. You might choose to stay up on the palms. You can slide props underneath the palms. You might choose to soften onto your forearms. Okay. You might soften all the way down to the ground. My body does not want that, but maybe yours does. And then do check in. If now you know that you want props, please add them. Keep shifting your hips back. If you shift your body weight forward, then you bypass this opening in the hips. Breathing into what already is. So for me, I don't want to be here. To be entirely honest with you, my body, it's not comfortable here. So the mind creates a means to distract myself. I like to fidget in the shape. I create tension in my jaw unconsciously. So see how you can consciously soften just by noticing. So you're welcome to stay exactly as you are for the next minute, or you can add in a little bit of functional movement. It will increase intensity. So think of the action of cat-cow in relation to the pelvis, the tailbone. So the movement might be tiny, but you'll shift your pubic bone forward, lifting the tail high. And then slowly draw the tailbone forward, navel slightly towards the back body. And then keep moving just like that. So this movement might be so tiny, you might not see it, but holy shit, can you feel it? Find some stillness. For the last Now the action here is to press your knees as actively into the floor as you possibly could. That'll require that your inner thighs really fire up. Keep pressing the knees into the ground. Keep doing so. Last few rounds of breath. And release. Whew. We'll make our way very slowly out of the shape back towards Tadpole Pose. We'll rise up, back up onto the palms. There's really no graceful way to release the shape. If the body doesn't feel like it can move, if it freezes, that's totally normal. It will dissipate, but be patient, be kind, be gentle. I like to shift my body weight slightly forward so I can bring my toes towards one another. And then just lean my body weight back. Whee! So intense. Gently drawing the knees inwards towards one another, taking as long as you need to eventually extend your legs forward. Whee! Yes, that is an intense one. Or maybe not for you. That's the beauty of it. Some things that my body finds incredible challenge in, other people find incredible relaxation within, and vice versa. My strengths might be your weaknesses, but yeah, wow, we're all so different. And ain't that beautiful? So for this next shape, this will be a more restorative shape. It will be a supported fish pose, which is a supported heart opener. Here's where you'll use your stack of pillows. I personally like to bring my pillows vertically as opposed to horizontally. Reason being, I like my head to be supported by props. If you know that you like your throat to be lifted, the head to be heavy, you can do it. For most bodies, that's not so lovely, but if it's right for you, please create that. But I like my head supported, so you might choose to follow me. So as you bring your props behind you, your hips don't have to be right up against the pillows. In fact, it's kind of better if it's not. But do what feels right. You lean back in such a way that your head and your heart are supported and higher than everything else. And we'll be here for quite a long time. About 5 minutes in yin, so really, well, 5 minutes in real life time too. But do take the time to make sure that it feels really good and supported. This should feel quite juicy, yummy, nourishing. Relax your arms by your sides, but maybe you extend them overhead. It might feel quite beneficial to keep the legs long, but if you choose, you could also bring the soles of the feet to touch, knees out wide. I'm choosing not to since we just came from frog pose, but honor what makes you happy. And just close the eyes. Every breath is a different commitment to self-study. Moving the breath, or using the breath to move deeper within. Another variation, even still with the legs. You could always just bend the legs, soles of the feet down to the ground. Create the shapes you need, knowing they really don't matter. there is truly no reason to suffer within the yoga practice. Challenge for sure, but suffer, no, not needed. Support yourself and hold space for yourself in any way that you need to today. Bring your focus to the toes. Allow the toes to relax. The ankles, relax. The shins, the calves, the knees, the quadriceps, the hamstrings, the hips. The low body is relaxed. The belly, the back body, the shoulder heads, the forearms, the biceps, the backs of the hands, the palms, the fingertips, the jaw, the throat, the skin of the forehead, the eyes themselves. The upper body is entirely relaxed. Big inhale all together through the nose. Exhale, big sigh, let it out the mouth. Soles of the feet down to the ground. So there's lots of ways to release the shape. You can choose to roll off onto one side. For me, it feels like a softer exit to just sit right up, but by sit right up, I mean move really slowly, using the forearms, then the palms, rising all the way up to a seat. You can remove the props, or bring them off to the sides, I should say, and then make your way onto your back. A few deep rounds of breath. They're reminding you there's nowhere to be but right here. As you're ready, hug your right knee in towards your chest. And you might choose to stay right here. So, we're demanding that the body between the upper right thigh and the torso. We're demanding that of the body. But at the same time, we're inviting the body to trust this opening, to be soft, to stay connected to the breath. You're welcome to stay right here, or we'll add a little bit of functional movement into the shape. You can lift your left leg off of the ground, or rather, let's not do that. Slowly, you'll begin to bring your left heel inwards towards the hip. Maybe the heel comes off of the ground, maybe not. And then gently open the left knee to the left before you extend the leg long once again. Good. So you are creating hip circles, just lubricating the hip joint. Again, there's no real science to it. If you find you're experiencing discomforts and clicking, this is a good indication you should do this more often. Okay. Move in the opposite direction. That's always hardest for the mind. Extend the left leg long, let it be heavy. Notice what's here. Open the right arm wide, right arm out to a T. Shift your hips 1 or 2 inches to the right, and then lower the right knee to the left across the body, coming into a spinal twist. So the right knee doesn't have to come anywhere near the ground. Our intention is to ground through the right shoulder. You could choose to slide a prop, some pillows underneath the right knee. The neck could be neutral, or you could choose to look over either shoulder. At this point in practice, whatever effort was needed throughout class, they no longer have a space here. Once again, trust that breath and gravity will bring you exactly where you need to be. So this practice, it does not work at the pace of the mind. It works only with the wisdom of the body, the timing of the body. The body reminds us that we're never 1 second too early. We're never 1 moment too late. And slowly hug the right knee back inwards towards your midline. You can give it a quick squeeze and then extend the right leg long. Good. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Bring your left knee inwards. Good. Be kind, but be persistent. Notice the space that you feel in the front of the right hip or lack thereof. You're welcome to stay right here, or you slowly begin to bring your right heel in towards the hip. The foot might be lifted, the heel might be lifted or not, and then circle the right knee out to the right before extending the leg long once again. And again, no right or wrong. So maybe the leg is bent, maybe it's straight, maybe you move unbelievably slowly, maybe you move a little bit quicker. Taking the time to move in the opposite direction. Before extending the left leg long once again. Spinal twist. bump your hips 1 or 2 inches to the left. And then use your right hand to guide the left knee across the body, coming into a spinal twist. Our priority is grounding through that left shoulder, so that might mean that you slide props underneath the knee. You can keep the neck neutral. You could also choose to look over either shoulder. The right arm could also come to the body, not as a active counterbalance, but more for a natural support. And knowing we're not here for long at all, just notice the rhythm of the breath. Observe its cadence. Slowly draw the left knee back in towards the midline. Give it a quick squeeze. And then allow the right knee to follow, hugging both knees in towards the chest. If there are any last movements that the body's craving, I invite you to take them. We make our way to the most important shape, Shavasana. Opening the legs wide, open the arms wide, taking up space. As always, these classes are open-ended, meaning I invite you to stay in Shavasana as long as your day allows. Very often, the most productive choice we can make is to truly rest, not thinking of what we need to do next, just committing to a reset. That's what Shavasana is. So you might find a traditional shape. Maybe your legs are up against the wall. Maybe you're in a seated meditation. Wherever you are, we'll take a moment to honor and appreciate this practice of empowering ourselves from the inside out. And to that practice of coming home to the self, I bow to you. Thank you for sharing or allowing me to share a piece of my heart.